Well, another sitting and more disruption. What do we make of all of this? For more on today's debate, joining us from Pretoria is well-known political commentator Professor Tinyiko Maluleke. Professor, good evening to you and welcome. So again, as I've just referenced, Parliament descending into chaos today. The gender-based violence play by the EFF, was it relevant or was it simply posturing?
Jeremy, it was totally unnecessary for a country like ours, which does have a gender-based violence problem, for such a problem to be brought into the National Assembly in the way that it was brought, not just by the EFF, but also by the ANC, if you include in this the utterances of one boy, Mamabolo, who basically accused the leader of the EFF of domestic abuse without providing any proof thereof. I think it is a sad day in the politics of the country that we as a people have to listen to these attempts really at smear politics, using an issue that is as important and as live as gender-based violence and domestic abuse.
So how then does Parliament move beyond this disruption? Or, as the EFF have suggested, is this now the new normal as far as this sitting is concerned, given the party's antipathy towards the Public Enterprises Minister, Pravin Gordhan?
Well, look, one has to accept that the energy in the National Assembly doesn't feel positive at all. Certainly the energy between the EFF and the ANC is at an all-time low and very, very negative. The energy between certain members of these two political parties in particular, I mean, I don't know what's going on between Boy Mamabulo and Julius Malema, for example, or between Julius Malema and President Ramaphosa, for example. So I think all of those issues at the level of the persons involved, at the level of the parties involved, will have to be addressed. But I think in addressing them, the country has to come first. The people of this country have to come first. We cannot be held ransom by two or three or people or political parties when the National Assembly is sitting at crucial moments such as today.
So as far as the EFF was concerned, it was about disruption, Professor. As far as the Democratic Alliance was concerned, it was about leadership. This is what the leader said in Parliament. This is John Steenhuisen. You had your chance. This is addressing President Ramaphosa, and you blew it. You're not the reformer that South Africa thought you were. You don't have the guts to make the tough choices that our country needs. Was that smack on the button, or was that a bit harsh?
It was a bit harsh. I suppose he was referring to the contents of the actual Sona, I hope, more than just what happened today. And I think that is fair game. I mean, today was about debating the contents of the Sona. And I think as long as people are commenting on aspects of the contents, provided they can substantiate their claims as they differ with the president, that is okay. It's part of the debate. What is not acceptable is the low blows and the negative energy that led to the ruckus that we saw later.
There's just one other aspect I'd like to touch on very quickly. This was the Freedom Front Plus, Peter Groenewald, and he said, and I quote, government should put a moratorium on black economic empowerment, affirmative action and land expropriation without compensation until the economy hits 5% growth. Is this the normal discourse that we expect from the Freedom Front Plus, or is there a kernel of an idea there?
Well, I don't know if there's a kernel of an idea there, because this is pretty much the kinds of things we have come to expect from the Freedom Front. They've never been in love with black economic empowerment at any time, even when the economy was much better than this. So I think it's a little bit too rich for them to say we're only against black economic empowerment because the economy is low. I think they ought to be a little bit more honest about that. And perhaps if they provided an honest, well-substantiated proposal, who knows, they might be listened to. But to pretend that it's because of the economy, I think it's a little too rich coming from them.
Always a pleasure talking to you, Professor Tinyiko Maluleke. Thank you very much indeed. Live for South Africa tonight in Pretoria. Let's